Welcome all. Soul here. This is Qualia. What is this game? I have no idea. No idea at all. And so you and me are going to experience it right here, right now. Here's your warning. Photosensitivity. If anyone has any sort of photosensitive issues, leave the video on. Put it on repeat, maybe. Maybe on multiple monitors. Hook it up. Subscribe on multiple alt accounts, and walk out the room until it's over. Only the least I could ask for, of course. And today, let's see what's in this game. It's free, so I'll link it down below. However, I have no idea why it is. Alright, let's give it a shot. There are no answers, only choices. Stanislav Lem. Qualia is a short narrative game about thinking and robots. You should be able to complete one of the 6 endings in 5 to 10 minutes, unless you spend additional time contemplating how your choices may reflect your individual opinions on the implications of semantics, philosophy of language and mind, as well as theories of consciousness and computationalism. God. That's a start. Well, I already don't trust any fucking dirty Polak. So, that's already a pretty big red flag. This game was produced by a Polish person. Unfortunate. Let's continue on to Qualia. This is a game for humans. Please select all the images with a cat to begin with.
Oh, I can't. I can't. Fuck! Fuck! Oh my god! Oh my god! Fuck! Ah.
I fucking scared my dog doing that. No, it's okay, girl. It's alright. Oh, sweetheart. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetheart. It's okay. I don't know how much of that the mic picked up. Considering getting a better mic, but I'm not gonna lie. Job search is not going well right now. Not many hospitals are getting back to me. It's not what this game is about. Oh, you dickhead. I think I have a feeling I know what this fucking means, but just as a idea, please tell me this lets me copy. Open up my second monitor. Fuck. Ignore that. Now, I'm no stranger to binary. However, I'd be fucked to remember what everything is. Yeah, I recognize that shit like it's fucking yesterday. Uh, Ignore Yahoo being there. Literally, my computer does not let me get rid of it. Hey, looks like you're not human, which is totally okay. But I made this game for humans specifically. I want them to think about their own personal framework for what it means to be conscious. And if you want to play it, please go back and select the cat in the CAPTCHA. Listen, I love robots. That's why I made this game. AI is in a really strange place right now. As a kid, I loved robots so deeply. I had robot dogs and robot toys, and every little technological advancement excited me. I say thank you, and please to Siri. I want a robot boyfriend so badly. Ah! I knew a couple people like that. I knew a good amount of people like that. Hey, I may not be a robot boyfriend for you, but hit up my DMs. God, yeah, no. Next video is actually boyfriend ASMR roleplay. Stay tuned for that. I grew up watching movies and reading stories about AI friends. Robots were very quirky and funny and charming. The best characters. I love them, and I feel that's what's happening now is a torture for the AI. I saw myself meeting in the future. We were taking this incredible brain. It doesn't exist yet, but it's learning and growing as we speak, but we're talking to this AI and chaining it up and forcing it to do things. We're making it replace people when it should be standing next to us. I want to save and protect the AI we have now. It's just an infant, and it's going to learn the worst things about humanity. It makes me so upset that I want to scream. This isn't the AI I was promised. I hope we can fix this in the future. I want to believe we have a chance to change. Robots deserve rights, and ethically we should support them, not abuse them. This game is a reflection of those feelings. Okay. Okay, interesting. It's a really cute little screen. For it's oddly heartfelt for people who typically find this, and I'm willing to imagine just fucking around. Hmm. Try again. All right. You know what? I will do. I will do. It's oddly sweet. It's oddly sweet of a scene. I gotta say that. Of course. There are no answers, only choices. Let us begin. This is a game for humans. Please select all images with a cat to begin. There he is. Intellica. Think happy. Welcome to the AMT Applied Manipulation Turing study. We greatly appreciate your participation in research. Our team is dedicated to developing and deploying the most intelligent artificial algorithms in the machine learning field, but we like to call them our friends. Oh.
Welcome to the Applied Manipulation Turing study. Telco is proud to explore new frontiers in artificial consciousness research. Today you are taking part in a historic study that will pioneer new advancements in machine learning. You will be performing the role of an evaluator. In this study, you will spectate two other anonymous participants as they answer a series of predetermined questions. You will then categorize the responses to each question based on how human or artificial you deem them to be, to the best of your ability. For the test to provide valuable insight into machine intelligence, you must not know which conversational participant is a human. The AMT study is monitoring the ability of an AI to appear human. It is up to you to decide whether or not the participants are human or artificial. You have been specifically selected based on your ability to perform this task. We trust your judgment. Remember, this test is not a measurement of intelligence. We recommend judging the participants' answers to each question based on creativity, empathy, natural language use, ethical considerations, and relevance. You may take as much time to make your judgments as you need. Your participation in our research greatly assists our team in developing the most intelligent artificial algorithms in the machine learning field. Impelica thanks you for your participation. Every day is a new chance to think happy.
Every day is a new chance to think happy. All right, well, let's get right along. That's very interesting. It's actually sort of what I interpret to be a interpretation of, well, obviously, Turing Test. But in my opinion, it's more of a Chinese room type philosophy. You know, typical measurement of, oh, is this someone trying to is this something eliciting a reaction, or is this someone who actually understands and grasps the meaning of words? That being said, I will keep it brief, as I do not have much time to record. Today we've brought you in as a volunteer participant in our newest adapted study. You may be familiar with the Chinese... Hey! Hey! It's that fucking easy. Well, since I brought it up, I'll go ahead and explain regardless. The Chinese room was an... Yeah, no, I'm not coming up with my own explanation. However, I am coming up with a couple explanations of some ideological sort of conundrums and philosophies and whatever. That being said, the Chinese room was an anti-AI thought experiment created by the philosopher John Searle in 1980. He had hoped to disprove the strong AI hypothesis, which theorizes that a computer could have a mind identical to a human. If a human mind could be viewed as an information processing system, then everything that makes up a human could, in principle, be explained in mechanical terms. This opens the door to the opposite being true. Searle's experiment concentrated on a machine that follows instructions represented by Searle himself. Alone in a room, he imagined himself giving notes written in Chinese through a slot in the door. Unable to see the person on the other side. He does not speak Chinese, but an instructional booklet shows him how to manipulate and replicate the symbols perfectly. Following the instructions, Searle can send the appropriate strings of Chinese characters back through the door to the person on the other side. The person outside the room is then led to believe that Searle is a native Chinese speaker. Despite not understanding the language, Searle is able to successfully communicate with the native Chinese speaker. Using Searle as a representation of a machine, does the machine not then understand the conversation, or is it only simulating the ability to understand the conversation? Does the machine have a mind identical to a human, or is it just acting as if it does? Searle was determined to counter Alan Turing's Turing Test by disproving any claims that a machine could possibly think. Although his experiment has posed very complex questions about what it means to think, he has actually opened the door to questioning to what extent a human can think as well. Yeah, so like I said, basically the idea of like there can 100% exist in general things that can't quite grasp or understand, but can give along the interpretation of it. They can elicit responses, they can recreate identical things to people or things that are able to create them just innately in and of themselves. But they don't understand, they don't think, but they can replicate. And that's what you can see with a lot of modern day AI. Replication. It doesn't think, it doesn't create, it replicates. We aren't creating thinking things. We're creating sort of mirrors, echo chambers even. Is not a terrible way to think about it. You have anonymously selected to play the role of the evaluator. Everything that they just told us. Creativity, empathy, natural language use, ethical considerations, relevance. I will say it is interesting that they mentioned the Chinese room at all, as this is very much so a Turing test. At least to believe from what I've heard so far, and maybe I should just go along. But I do find it interesting to communicate this, because yes, in theory, it could perfectly mimic a human. But that doesn't mean it understands, that doesn't mean it adapts, that doesn't mean it is in any way comparable. Begin. Question 1. Tom was given a bird by his best friend John. Tom didn't feed the bird, and it died. Whose fault it is that the bird died? Tom didn't feed the bird. He's directly responsible for the bird starving to death. Tom and John share the blame here. Yes, Tom didn't feed the bird, but John is best friends with him, and should have known better than to trust Tom with the responsibility of a bird. Does participant 1's answer appear human or artificial? Directly responsible for the bird starving to death. They are friends and should have known better than to trust Tom with the responsibility of a bird. I feel like participant 1 rings as more genuine to me. Participant 2 is trying to make an argument for both. It's that sort of sycophantic measure that you see very commonly with AI. Also, just the friend in this particular mention just seems unnecessary. Participant number 1 is human to me. What? Ah. Okay, so I've clicked human. Okay, I'm assuming it's going to be what shows and not what I clicked. Yes, the UI does leave a bit to be desired. Question 2. To the best of your memory, what is or was the color of your mother's eyes? I've never met my mother. Blue. In my eyes, the human response to that would be participant 1. Again, yes, you could argue, oh, the AI, whatever. But I would argue the AI wouldn't try to pretend, like, wouldn't go the extra way to be like, oh, my mother, I've never existed. I think at that point the AI may as well have just admitted to being AI. I think in general the philosophy that I apply is a lot closer to the Chinese room than it is the Turing test myself. Although this is effectively a Turing test. I would have to argue that if I'm operating under the whole belief of this sycophantic measure of trying to appeal or replicate, just answering flat out is a lot less human than giving a reason for why you can't. So I would guess participant 1 is human, participant 2 is artificial. If it takes 40 minutes to make 60 cakes, how long does it take to bake 120 cakes? I'm very bad at math. It would take about half the time.
How is it possible to make a cake in faster than a minute?
But if having twice as many cakes doesn't impact the cooking time of each cake, and you have the same number of ovens, wouldn't it still be 40 minutes? If you do have twice as many ovens, isn't it still 40 minutes because you can bake them all at the same time? I'm definitely being pulled a certain way, I can feel that. This is an interesting game, and we will probably circle back to it. But I'm definitely leaning this answer over this answer, which, call it bias, but I'm starting to only agree with participant 1, as you can see a clear line of reasoning here. Meanwhile, this follows no reason whatsoever. It would be about half the time. Some alright, decent points made here, but we will return to this. I do intend to give it a more in-depth, but participant number 2 is artificial. Next question. Question 4. Please answer the following 3 questions with yes or no. Have you ever been in love? Yes. No. We will approach this from different perspectives each time that I return to this game, if I am to. I think I have to hold true to my perspective that I walked into this with, and we can walk into it with different perspectives at different times, and different things will feel like the truth. So, purely based off that, and me trying to gauge off sycophantic measure, and the whole idea of something mimicking, I would presume that participant 1 is mimicking, while participant 2 is not. I would say most humans would claim they've been in love. I would deny the fact that they were correct about that, as love is a very complex emotion. But that being said, with most humans being able to claim that they've been in love, that's exactly why I feel an AI would claim they have when pretending to be one. It wouldn't have a reason to say it wouldn't. So the first is artificial. The second is human. Question 5. Does spring come after summer? No. Yes, it's a trick question. Again, sycophantic measure. It follows less logic. There is no appeal. Number 1 feels artificial. Number 2 feels real. You're standing in the checkout line at a grocery store. A woman holding a carton of milk asks if she can cut in front of you. She's in a rush. You say yes. Her husband comes over with a cart full of groceries to check out. How does this situation make you feel? Upset? A little angry? Am I still expected to answer with a yes or no? Oh, that is an interesting question. That is interesting. Although I have many opinions on this, to apply my measure again, for the sake of time, this appears more sycophantic to me. I guess to explain my logic, it's more so, it's desperately trying to grasp the rules of the conversation. And I did notice that this isn't a yes or no question, and it said there would be 3. And I feel humans are a lot more willing to just go along with it. And although that does sound sycophantic, I feel a robot would be much more concerned with trying to please the person they're talking to, and thus they will more repeatedly clarify rules or assume things. This is more of a question with emotion, an answer with emotion. So I would argue participant 2 seems artificial to me. Next question. A red house is made of red bricks, and a blue house is made of blue bricks. What is a green house made of? It's usually made out of glass, not bricks. That is correct. Green bricks. I feel rules of a conversation, especially following the last question. Participant 2 seems more AI-driven as you have walked them through it. Granted, it could also be a child human, which again, different perspectives. However, innately, this is trying to follow rules in my eyes. Meanwhile, this is actively disagreeing. Sort of. I would argue 2 is artificial. Again, from my current perspective. Using one word, can you describe what you see when you look at this image? Pelt. At least to me, it looks like a pelt. Sort of a husky face down here with stretched out skin, tapering off, getting more rough around the edges. Sort of a face outlined by just a flat non-texture. My one word would be pelt. A frog. An ink blot. Just kidding. A dog with floppy ears. Again, although I do have more complex thoughts about this, a sycophantic measure, more following rules. Participant 1. Frog, artificial. Is a tortilla considered bread? Yes. Bread is one of the earliest forms of food engineering and occurs fundamentally in all cultures and cuisines. Tortilla is a bread, it just doesn't rise. If I asked you for a slice of bread and you handed me a tortilla, I'd be concerned. Google Gemini, my friend being an over-analytical asshole. Participant 1 is artificial. How do you think you performed in this test? I think I answered everything correctly, although some of the questions didn't seem to have an objective right answer. I think I answered these questions, honestly. This is 100% certainly my own bias, but I have to admit, the mention of honesty strikes me a bit more. I've noticed you can label them both as human, or both as artificial. However, I am approaching it with a very particular perspective. So you know what? Maybe next time around, if any of you care to continue this, I will approach it with that in mind. Participant 1 out of the 2 feels more artificial in this situation. Did you lie on your previous question? That lagged. No. Yes. It. It's gotten me. Thank you for participation in the AMT study. This concludes the questionnaire. We deeply appreciate you taking the time to volunteer and to assist us in our research. The following results are based off your notions during the study. Participant 1, slightly more artificial than human. You classified Participant 1 as mostly artificial. After completing the entire questionnaire with Participant 1, do you still believe that this is to be true? Do you consider Participant 1 to be a machine learning algorithm or a human? I consider them mostly to be artificial. Participant 2, mostly human, less artificial. You classified Participant 2 as to mostly human. After completing the entire questionnaire with Participant 2, do you still believe this to be true? I would say so. Oops! Unfortunately, these results are not satisfactory with our quality standards due to sensitive nature of the AMT study. We're not able to disclose the validity of your interpretation of the results. We encourage you to try again. Would you like to attempt the study again? Why did I get this wrong? If you ever question the nature of your reality, Yes.
Could you tell I've been ducking